transforming lives as we love, serve, and remember who we are.
One heart, one mind,
one soul at a time.
Hello and welcome to the SLC Sunday Experience. I'm Paula Mandella and this is Soul Light Connection, and we want you to know you're in the right place at the right time. Right, Ann?
That's right, just where you are meant to be. And we want you to sing along with us because we know and you know your soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. In the right place, I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome. Yeah, your soul is welcome. Our soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. Right time. I am just where I am meant to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I am meant to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome. I'm getting the message. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Put your hands together. My soul is welcome here. Tell them about it, Larry. My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Good morning, and welcome to the Spiritual Life Center experience that we bring to you wherever you might be on the planet today. We're grateful for your presence as we remind one another we are all interconnected. We're all one in the Spirit. And there's a divine power within and around each and every one of us. You know, there are folks across the planet who view our services, and each week I acknowledge at least one of the places outside the United States where people tune in to our program. And today I like to acknowledge our friends in Sweden. Thank you for connecting with us, and know that you are blessed and a wonderful blessing to our planet. At this time, let us take a few moments to commune with the presence of pure spirit. As we do so in prayer, which is the language of spirit that is not limited by time or space. And we have an opportunity to affirm that realization of our oneness with everyone that we know, as well as the Spirit of the living God itself. Divine presence, we come under your guidance and your government, because this is where we originate from. And this place that we come from contains all that is good and perfect. the love, the peace, the health, the wholeness, the harmony, the divine and perfect spiritual ideas, and all the wonderful things that come from Spirit itself. We contain all of these qualities ourselves, and our job is to touch that quality that we want to bring out into our world and make it the activity of our awareness through our words, through our thinking, through our actions, so we can anchor on earth the highest and best of who we have come here to be. And as we do that, we'll say without a doubt that when you see me, you see that presence that sent me. For this presence and I and all of us are one. And so it is, and so we let it be. Well, we're grateful for your presence. We're grateful for your consciousness. And we come together at Spiritual Life Center and those who support us to carry out this mission. We transform lives as we love, serve, and remember. And we do so by practicing to the best of our ability these 5 basic principles. God is absolute good and everywhere present. People are inherently good. Thoughts create our experiences. Prayer and meditation are how we connect with God. And we must take action.
Hi, I'm Reverend Deborah Phillips, and this is what's happening at SLC this week. This week, Discovering Spirit Within asks the question, how often do you catch yourself trying too hard? In Doing Your Best, I discuss the difference between striving for perfection and simply doing your best in any one moment. We also look at the idea that when you stop trying so hard and do your best, you are much more likely to accept yourself and become much more comfortable in your own skin, which in turn helps you to be yourself. Discovering Spirit Within premieres Wednesdays on your favorite podcast app. Have you ever wondered why it is that despite all you know about how to get along in the world, despite the efforts you make in your home and work life and in your spiritual practices, you may not be seeing lasting results? The transformational 21-day practice called the Art of Quantum Living, formerly known as the Q process, helps participants understand and reflect on their biology to uncover unconscious limiting patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior that may still be operating by default. Elaine Leroy will facilitate the training over 6 consecutive Wednesdays on Zoom beginning May 5th. The first 3 weeks will be learning the quantum living process where no one and nothing is against you. The last 3 weeks is the 21-day transformative experience of practicing the art of quantum living. You can sign up for this life-changing training on our website today. The Board of Trustees will host our annual meeting on May 16th from 1 to 2:30 p.m., so you'll want to mark your calendars. And now, here's Sally Sion with the rest of the Board of Trustees update.
I am Sally Sion, a member of your Board of Trustees. This is an update from us as we try to keep you informed of the latest news at SLC. We are a spiritual cooperative, and you are our partners in decision making. The number one question I hear, and that I'm thinking in my mind, is, when is church going to get back to normal? Based on the COVID-19 situation, my answer is, I don't know. Now, this is unsatisfying, I know, but the board decided a year ago that we were going to follow all CDC and county health recommendations. Those guidelines are updated and changed almost every week. If you're listening to the news at all, you know that. So the staff and volunteers are working on the deck of a heaving ship. We tried gathering for group viewing and recording the service to watch on Easter, and that went well, obviously. So we're going to continue to do that for the time being, but that could change at any moment based on the health situation of the county. Now, we're glad that we can continue with group viewing. I personally really appreciated getting to actually see some of you here in person. But we can't predict what's going to happen. But I can guarantee you that we will let you know what changes as we know. Now, what does this have to do with you if you're not interested in coming on Sundays? Well, we're only going to be able to make new spending projections on a quarterly basis. We have not been able to really establish a whole year budget for SLC. You will get a more complete examination of our financial situation at the congregational meeting on May 16th. But you need to know that we are taking small steps to resume personal contact. And as we do so, we have to be very mindful of the finances. We ended last year in the black, but only because we received a government grant that helped us with staff salaries and because we severely slashed our spending. Our skeleton staff have taken on many tasks that we were contracting out in the past. And our staff now, as we continue to increase our activities, have to have more support. They can't keep giving 150%. And as we open more, the building is going to require more maintenance, more janitorial, and obviously more toilet paper. And if you are partners with us in this ministry, what does this mean other than me telling you that we need more financial support? We are including our congregant partners in as many decisions in our community as we can. Congregants are key and were key in the new board member recruitment process and will be also involved in interviewing and then making recommendations for that meeting in May when we'll elect those board members. The Evolutionary Council has conducted personal interviews and created a report on congregants' concerns and desires. And they're going to continue in a leadership role in actualizing those suggestions. Our Abundant Community team has responded to the demand for more bingo and is always open to more ideas for how we can have community events that give us an opportunity to socialize, interact, and raise some funds. Join the team with your ideas. The Community Giving Committee is now accepting your nominations for community nonprofits to partner with year-round. Those forms are on the website for you at any time. And the new member information meeting, the next one, will be May the 3rd. You can sign up for that if you're new to SLC. And the more activities at the church mean that we need more volunteers. Your participation is key to the health of this mission-centric ministry, and you will benefit from sharing as a volunteer as you give of your time and talent. We thank you so much.
As Sally said, until we move into the new phase of reopening, you can come and watch the pre-recorded service in person here at the center. COVID guidelines mean that space is limited, so please go to the website to register for in-person attendance. We love to greet our newcomers, and while we cannot greet you in person, we want you to know that we are very happy that you are with us today as you walk your unique path. You can learn more about us by going to slcworld.org/connect. When you fill out the online card, you can choose to receive our weekly message, find opportunities for connecting with our prayer chaplains, and online small groups. You can also ask to be notified of greater ways to connect with us virtually as we expand our online community. And speaking of connecting, you can find all the details that are the happenings at SLC by simply going to our website, slcworld.org. Thank you for joining us today. We are honored to be with you in spirit.
I am an expression of spirit, of spirit. I am an expression of spirit, of spirit. A beautiful expression of spirit, magnificent expression of spirit, a unique, unrepeatable expression of God. 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 I am an expression of spirit, I am an expression of spirit, right time, right place, an expression of spirit. I'm fabulous, I got it, an expression of spirit, a unique, unrepeatable expression of God. 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 I am an expression of spirit, I am an expression of spirit.
At Spiritual Life Center, we affirm there is power in the spoken word. If it feels comfortable for you, I invite you to speak aloud our vision statement. Spiritual Life Center is a loving, vibrant family that welcomes home all people and accepts everyone, no exceptions. Weaving ancient spiritual traditions with emerging wisdom, we cultivate a spiritual deepening with the divine, each other, and our planet.
As we breathe and go within for this time of sacred communion, connecting with the holy presence within, we move into meditation, joined as one with Spirit, the great I am. Breathing, we deepen into stillness. Breathing, we open to the very essence of love. Pausing to honor our divine self. Our presence is an expression of spirit, holy, sacred, filled with love, shifting into this time of inner reflection, letting go of judgments. We look at what we are letting in to our consciousness. What is settling in our hearts and defining our worth? Am I willing to stand in the light, to see the beauty that I am? Do I understand my value, knowing that God and I are one? As I see myself, the world reflects back as my creation. Just as in the garden, what we see above ground is reflected below in the soil, growing unseen. What lies within, the roots, the foundation of our being. When we change the outside conditions, yet don't adjust our thinking, we find ourselves striving for something that we're not ready to accept. So we look with a gentle awareness to see what seeds have taken hold, possibly criticism, fear, or doubt. And we breathe with compassion into our human condition, opening to the light of God. We turn it over, remembering we are far better than any measure we can put on ourselves. For we are the children of God, here to shine the light of glory, the holy expression of the most sacred. Connecting with the source of ever-present love, abundance, and goodness. Our value springs from there. Shifting our thinking, we open and accept that which we seek. Elevating our frequency with just a baby step or a full shift of direction, we move towards our dreams. There is no judgment here, just welcoming and allowing the next step, a blossoming like the spring bud, opening to reveal its beauty. As we move into the silence, we notice our thoughts letting any doubts arise, gently we turn them over to God. They drift away, transformed into love in the silence. And with this love, we open to our worth, meeting God's desire for us, elevating our consciousness. We see through the light of love. As we begin to return to the here and now, we carry these gifts forward. We are capable, strong, and resilient. Guided by Spirit, we are set free in harmony and alignment. Free to try, free to succeed abundantly. We rise into magnificence. Go ahead and fly. And so it is. Namaste.
And now that I have dropped the weight,
Thank you for that India Ari tune, Songbird Rise. It's a reminder for all of us what our individual as well as collective futures can be if we but lift our eyes and spread our metaphorical wings. This is the moment for us to do that. Now is the time to do so and to create a future and a life that our souls long for. This week I'm starting a theme entitled Take Back Your Future, based upon a book by a guy named James Trapp. And it's about how to get unstuck and create the life that we want, that we love, and that we deserve. And as the lyrics of the song suggest for us, in order to reach such heights, we must know where we want to go and then get in the flow of this presence, this power, this love that we call God. But along the way, we must also drop the weight of that which no longer serves us. And one of the weights we must drop are the limited concepts we may have of ourselves. You know, it reminds me of a teacher. And she had gotten her first job teaching the third grade in a school outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And according to her, it was a tough school. It was a challenging school. And she realized that many challenges those students had that she was teaching and that they were going through and that what they were experiencing. So one day she decided to change things up, what she normally would do. And she told her students in the class, we're not going to do a math assignment today. Instead, I want everyone to draw a picture of their biggest dreams. And the young teacher passed out her crayons and sheets of paper to the students. And each child started drawing pictures of what they wanted to be when they grew up. And as the rest of the class was drawing, the teacher noted there was one young boy sitting in the corner of the class doing nothing. His face had a blank and distant stare to it. And about half an hour had passed and the young boy had not picked up a crayon. And then unexpectedly, it seemed, his eyes lit up. He started to draw. And when the class was over, the students handed in their drawings to the teacher. And when the room was empty, the teacher looked over the drawings of the young boy and realized it was a drawing of a pizza delivery man. Then the teacher was a little concerned about this, so she called the young boy's mother to tell her about the drawing that her son had done in the class. And when the mother heard what happened, she was not surprised. You see, the boy's mom explained to the teacher that the only man in the son's life who was not, on drugs or in jail in her community was his uncle. And his uncle just happened to be a delivery pizza man. And as you look at that story, one of the things we realized that was the highest image that young student could come up with for himself. Because that's all that he saw. And we can never go beyond the rim of our own self-concept, how we see ourselves. One message from that story that tells us is that people, whether they are young students or adults, will always look up and reach for the highest branch they can see as a possibility for their life. Whatever you can see, that's what you'll reach for. Ideally, we want to have an environment in which everyone can see the highest vision for his or her life. Because that vision will be key to determining their future. In other words, as the topic for today indicates, self-image matters. Self-image matters. To paraphrase a scriptural reference, the master teacher Jesus said in one of his stories, he said, it's done unto you as you believe. And if you don't have a belief or a self-image that bespeaks of worthiness, we will end up setting off a self-fulfilling prophecy, which will end up being in lack and limitation. We'll probably lower our expectations. We'll craft a reduced vision for our life and for our world. I recall when I was in a treatment center many years ago, there's a woman who eventually would become a friend of mine. But at that time, when I didn't know who she was sharing her experience of how she ended up at the center for drug rehabilitation, and she wrote about this in her memoir. And at the time, I wondered, how in the world did she end up here? I understood why I was there. I was living riotously, and I ended up going to that center to try to get my life together. But she seemed to have the world in the palm of her hand. You know, she was an up-and-coming model, and she was destined for greatness. You could see that she was going to be a supermodel one day. And if you looked at her and felt her energetic presence, you could understand why. She radiated an aura that described as the it factor. We know that some people just have what we call the it factor. You can't define it. But when you see them and you happen to be in their presence, you know there's something there. And she had that it factor in spades, as they say. And I would have bet dollars to donuts she was headed to straight international stardom. But shockingly, she did not see herself that way. She thought she was not good enough. She thought she was not good looking enough. She did not believe she was worthy of success. And it would have been hard for anyone to believe who saw her that could possibly be true. Anyway, to make a long story short, she not only self-destructed with, addictions, but she ended up mutilating her face, and as a result of many self-injuries like that, the tissue damage was so bad that even the best plastic surgeons could not restore her appearance to what it was before. As a result, she was no longer able to work as a model, and the dream life that was before her suddenly and tragically came crashing down. And I began thinking at the time and how sad that was. And as I was listening to her for a moment, I stopped thinking about my so-called problems that led me to my path of self-destruction. After all, that up-and-coming person had won life's lottery ticket of all the attributes needed to do what she could do in a grand scale. She seemed to lack nothing. Despite that, she did not see herself as worthwhile. And as a result, she sabotaged what appeared to be sure-fire success. You may have your own experience of self-sabotage that is not as dramatic as my friend's. Perhaps you set goals for yourself and something seems to trip you up along the way. And it doesn't happen just one time, it's a pattern. And as you try again, there is an uneasy feeling in your gut, and you know you're going to end up saying to yourself something like, I want to go for what my heart is telling me to do, but I'm hesitant. I'm afraid I will screw things up. And when I look back over my life, I realize that just when I'm about to make things happen, all of a sudden, bam, I missed something important, maybe a meeting. Or maybe I'll say something that blows up the whole project. And I end up mistreating someone. Or maybe I just don't follow through. Or maybe we may say to ourselves, I don't know why I keep messing things up. And the origins of this are not just the result of immediate behavior, rather the byproduct of something more profound, something more sinister. It is the image we have of ourselves. That is what I would call our self-concept. How we see ourselves has a lot to do with how our life will unfold in almost any area of our life. Not only, goals and ambitions and jobs, but even our health and our well-being. So it's essential to know that you cannot go beyond how you see yourself, no matter what you have going for yourself. If you don't see yourself as deserving, one or two things will happen. You'll either not be successful, or even if you reach a level of success or attain something, we will not be able to sustain it. So changing our self-concept is one of the keys to liberating ourselves from the conditions that we do not like. Over time, how we habitually see ourselves creates a groove in our mind that serves as a default way of being, and how our life ultimately will manifest. And what's particularly insidious is that we may not even be aware that we've accepted a view of ourselves that has nothing to do with who and what we can be. You know, sometimes an incident happens, and we interpret that event in a way that creates a false and lasting view of ourselves. And what happens, that view creates a barrier and a self-perception that we seem to be unable to go beyond. You know, as I've mentioned from time to time, I've ran into this barrier in my life. And as I examined this phenomenon, I realized that it's not something that is limited to just a chosen few. We may think it's just happening to us. Or we might say, well, why is God just picking on me? It is a pervasive condition in a large segment of our population. As a result, to live and express the highest and best that we can, we must make changing how we see ourselves, changing how we change our self-image, a top priority. Now, that's one of the statements that it's easy to say that because it's a lot harder to do, because most of us have been a certain way for a long time. And such a change is not created like in a microwave dinner, but it's more like making a dinner in a crock pot. It takes time. And the ingredients are our daily habits, because our daily habits create our paradigm of what we must do or what we generally do in life, and we want to change that paradigm. Now, paradigm is nothing more than a fancy word to describe how we think most of the time, how we think habitually. And those patterns of thought become embedded in the fabric of our being. The unconscious thoughts pose the most significant challenge. We can't see them. They're below the surface. We're not fully conscious of them. They're the ones that are lodged below the conscious mind. And reinforce those thoughts by taking actions on a day-to-day basis. It goes without saying that if we do the same things day in and day out, it's impossible to create a life different from the one we've already have or have had the day before. So to create a new future for ourselves and interrupt the cycle of self-sabotage, we have to take different actions. Because frequently, when we start our day, you know, it's like the movie Groundhog Day. I may be dating myself, but you may remember the Groundhog Day. The guy in the movie was having the same experience day in and day out, day after day. We may shut off the alarm like we did all the previous days. We may get out of bed on the same side. We may put on the same slippers. We turn on the lights as we always do. And then we likely go through the same bathroom routine that we've had for the last X number of years. Do the hair the same way. I don't have any hair any longer, but, mine is gone. But we may drink the same coffee or the same tea or the same smoothie or drink the athletic greens or whatever strikes your fancy or what's in tune today. And then we may drive to work in the same route that we did all the time or wherever we're going to, and once we get there, we do the same things we've always done. And finally, when the day ends, many of us go back to where we came from our home, and prepare the next day by rinsing and repeating what we did the day before. All the while, the thoughts and the subsequent actions remain the same. From time to time, we are shackled by negative self-sabotaging thoughts that lead to behavior that inevitably stops us from fulfilling our purpose and moving up to a higher expression of what we can be. We have like 25 to 50,000 thoughts per day. I don't know how they count them, but that's what I understand the scientists say. But we know that some of those thoughts are positive thoughts. Others, not so much. And so you may have said to yourself, if I said to myself at time to time, I can't do that. That's way too difficult for me. If I try, I will just screw up. Or we may imagine some imaginary being saying, who do you think you are? Such statements seem like they may be coming from a brutal or cruel person with a mission to destroy our self-confidence. However, that tyrant comes from within our own minds. Or as Jesus said, our foes are within our own household. They're within us. And then if we infuse such thoughts with energy, they lead to behavior that stops us from achieving what's possible in our lives, the dreams and the fulfillment of our purpose and why we are here. God has something magnificent for us, and we're thinking so small because of our limited self-image. And oftentimes we go on autopilot, and we're not consciously aware of what that self-sabotaging is. It's simply a byproduct of those thoughts. Instead, we attribute a lot of our lack of success or progress or change not to what we want, not getting to what we want in life or anything, to simply being bad luck. But like I said, to change paradigms, it takes time. It's a process. We have to change the ingredients in the crock pot in order to end up with a tastier stew called our life. Now, one of the ingredients is to identify thoughts that are bringing us down rather than lifting us up. And after we have identified the thoughts that no longer serve us, we must loosen the grip they have over us by practicing the technique of release. Releasing attachment to the old way, the old thoughts that do not serve us. And it sounds something like this. I release the belief that I'm prone to illness. Or we may say, I release the thought that I'm not worthy. Or we simply say, I release the belief that I'm not good enough. Whatever the dominant thought within your particular paradigm, that's what you want to say as the opposite. And then to further shift the paradigm, we must consistently repeat the ideas that are opposite of that pattern of thought. This repetition is spaced out over time until it becomes part of the fabric of our unconscious mind, the part that we cannot see, so it becomes incorporated into who we really are. So we may ask, how could that show up? It can be along the lines that, I'm healthy, I'm whole, I'm infinitely valuable, I'm more than good enough. To add fuel to the power of paradigm shifting process, we must interject an emotional charge to the new ideas by repeating to ourselves that we have a different way of being. And what we want to do is uplift that energy field of the new ideas so they have a powerful influence on us. And one of the ways we can do that is associate emotion with the repeated statement that we come up with, our new way of being. Whatever brings up a powerful emotion for us, whenever we state that new way of being, we want to associate that statement with whatever that emotion is. And we can pull something from the past. It could be the birth of your child. It could be the love that you have for a family member or even a pet. It can be how you feel when you witness an unselfish act that one human being showed to another. It can also be a scene in a movie that emotionally affects you every time you think about it. In any event, when you start stating your new ideas and think of that emotional moment, the fresh approach will stick with you on a very profound, almost a cellular level, and you will displace the old beliefs that no longer serve you. And a new paradigm will begin to emerge. In my own life, one of the things I use whenever I say I need to come up with a new way of having an image of myself or who I am, to this day, even though he's a young man now, he's taller than I am, whenever I think about my son when he was born, I get a powerful emotional charge. When I recall that event and I affirm a new idea or vision for myself, that idea sticks to me more intensely than if I just stated it with the words without associating with that emotion. And that new paradigm begins to fortify itself in my life. Like I said, it takes time. We have to cook these new ideas slowly until they start coming into our consciousness. But the key idea is this. There's a direct connection between how we see ourselves and the level of well-being we manifest in our life. There's no magical treatment for this. There's no medical procedure that we can go through. We have to believe that we're worthy, see it in our mind's eye, and be open to receive that good that the universe has the good pleasure to want to give us. You know, there was once an African prince who was born a hunchback. And on the prince's 13th birthday, his father, the king of the village, asked the young boy what would he like to receive as a gift. Well, the young boy was bent over and he was looking up, and the young prince replied, "I want a statue of myself." The prince's father was confused as well as concerned, because the last thing he wanted was for his young son to be mocked by people around him in the village. And in an effort to change the boy's mind, the king said, "Surely there must be something else you desire." However, the prince was steadfast. He held firm and responded by saying, "No, I want a statue of myself. But I don't want a statue that looks like I appear right now, not how I look now. I want a statue of myself of how I would appear if I stood up straight and I placed it outside of my window." And so he put it outside of his window, and he saw it and he looked at it every single day until he embodied that vision. Because after the statue was completed, each morning he stood before his likeness, and he did this day in and day out. He stretched his body to mimic the 6-foot replica of himself. The son of the king did this without fail for 8 straight years. And on the 21st birthday, his 21st birthday, the prince stood shoulders erect, his head straight. His eyes stared eyeball to eyeball with his bronze image. And the prince's secret is found in the words, "As you see yourself, so shall you be." Changing how you see yourself is a key to breaking away from the conditions that we don't like. Our self-image is like a groove in our mind, as I said, that serves as a default way of being and acting in life. So it behooves us to remind ourselves of who we really are, what our real identity is, as described by the master teacher Jesus the Christ when he said, "Ye are the light of every man and woman that comes into the world." That is our real identity. That is our real image. That is our real likeness. And that image and likeness represents the unlimited possibilities that are inherent in all of us. We want to see and identify with that highest vision we see for ourselves and for our world. As we do not only shape our self-image in the direction of our life, we're doing our part to uplift our entire world, to see all of us as those songbirds rising everywhere. This is our commission, our charge, and always our choice. And so it is, and so we let it be. Peace and blessings to you. Thank you for being part of our service today. in which we touched on how our self-concept or our self-worth influences how our life will turn out. And if we don't like how we see ourselves, we can always put a new ingredient into our crock pot of life and turn that around. Next Sunday, we have a special guest that is no stranger to Spiritual Life Center. It's Dr. Gail Darren, and she's going to speak on the topic of the power of vision. And remember to join us for a virtual courtyard chat on Zoom at 10:15 Pacific Standard Time. The link to the spiritual courtyard is in the description. So we'll meet there and be able to chat with friends as well as members of Spiritual Life Center. Right now, this is your opportunity to help Spiritual Life Center continue to provide these spiritual experiences for you or anyone else that may be tuning in. And of course, it's not just limited to Sunday and our experiences on Sunday, but our weekly podcast, our prayer and meditation classes, as well as other transformational experiences that take place throughout the week. So I invite you to support Spiritual Life Center with your donation or your gift, and to give what you can. It makes a tremendous difference and is highly appreciated. You can give by texting SLC Love to 44321. That's SLC Love to 44321. Or go to our website, slcworld.org, and click the Donate tab to give in other ways, including by mail. And to remind you, if you find value in our services and want to help spread the word to others, and depending upon what platform you're viewing us from, please like, comment, and click subscribe, and more transformation will be available for people not only locally, but across the very planet in which we live. And now I invite you to join in with me as we say quietly, out loud, or just energetically join in our offertory blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. Thank you, God.
These hands, these feet, these eyes that seek to find their hope in you. Made in your image, I'm made in your image. This heart that beats, this mouth that speaks more and more like you. I'm made in your image, I'm made in your image. 'Cause you are the potter and I am the clay. You're molding me, shaping me every day. 'Cause you are the potter and I am the clay. You're molding me, shaping me every day. I'm trusting the Spirit on the day-to-day, picking up strength all along the way, and I feel what it's doing in me. I'm trusting the Spirit on the day-to-day, picking up strength all along the way, and I see how it's working in me. In your image I am made. Yeah. In your image I am made. Oh, yeah. In your image I am made. These hands, these feet, these eyes that seek to find their hope in you. I'm made in your image. I'm made in your image. This heart that beats, this mouth that speaks more and more like you. I'm made in your image. I'm made in your image. 'Cause you are the potter and I am the clay. Molding me, shaping me every day. 'Cause you are the potter and I am the clay. Oh, you're molding me, shaping me image I am made. I'm trusting in your spirit on the day-to-day, picking up strength all along the way, and I see it's working through me. In your image I am made. Oh, yeah. In your image I am made. Oh, I'm made. In your image I am made. The spirit on the day-to-day, picking up strength all along the way, and I feel what it's doing in me. In your image I am made.
And now, let us join together and say our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well.